Hello, everyone, and welcome to CCCLXVI, the podcast where we talk about the last movies we watched in the last week. The first movie we watched this week was Django Unchained, the seventh film by Quentin Tarantino, I think. And Django Unchained is a very good movie, but before we get into the reviewing part, I need to immediately plant a sort of seed in your mind. This movie is very violent, so if you do not like violent movies, then this movie is definitely not for you. It has a lot of scenes that are pretty violent. It also has a lot of racism, I have to say, I guess. It takes place in the South a couple years before the Civil War, and it has a black protagonist, and there's also a lot of white people. So you have to expect that there's a lot of things that would not be accepted today, but it is all for a historical thing, and not because the person that made the film is racist in any way. Getting that disclaimer out of the way, I have to say that this movie is pretty good. The acting is really good. Two people that really shine, in my opinion, are Christoph Waltz as Dr. King Schultz, and he does a fantastic performance. He won an Oscar for it, and in my opinion, he definitely should have. And Leonardo DiCaprio also did a very, very good job as Calvin Candy. He did a very great job as Calvin Candy, and I really felt like those two actors did a fantastic job, and they made this film a lot better. But they're not the only reason why this film is good. The writing is good. It's funny. It's serious. It has a lot. There's action. It's an overall very good and serious film, while also having some funny parts. What are your opinions on this film, Benji?
I like it because sometimes, it's funny, and I like funny movies, and it's also kind of serious, too. And I like that.
Okay, so what would you give this film out of 10, Benji?
A 10 out of 10.
Okay, because that's exactly what I'd give it. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Writing's pretty good. Everything is pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's in the top 250. It's a great film. But actually, I might give it a 9.5 because it got pretty long, and there were some scenes that I felt like weren't necessary. Like the scene with the Australian slavers, it wasn't really that necessary in my opinion. That scene could have been cut, especially with Quentin Tarantino's cameo as the Australian slaver. That was pretty bad. He can't really do an Australian accent very well. It's a bit bad. But other than that, the film was pretty good. Very, very good film. 9.5 out of 10, you give it a 10 out of 10. The second movie we watched this week was another Western. Actually, all the movies this week are Westerns. I think that's what we're going to do now. Just all Westerns. It's just a Western podcast now, guys. I'm just kidding. But the next movie we watched was For a Few Dollars More, the second film in the Dollars trilogy, I guess. And so this film is pretty good, starring Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. Both did a great job. Sergio Leone is great. Yeah, it's basically the same. I have the same opinion on that as I do The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and Fistful of Dollars. It's a great film, great spaghetti western. The shots are beautiful in it. There's a really good story and stuff. The action is great. The acting is great. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. What is your opinion on it, Benji?
It's the same thing as I said in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's so cool. Clint Eastwood is.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I think it's sort of hard to review this movie because we've already reviewed The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and A Fistful of Dollars, and both of those films are very close to For a Few Dollars More. So it's really hard it's very hard to review those and not just begin to repeat yourself over and over, because they're very similar, and I have the same opinion on For a Few Dollars More as I do the other two. It's great. Definitely would recommend it. I think I gave A Fistful of Dollars a 10 out of 10. But I don't know. I didn't like For a Few Dollars More as much because A Fistful of Dollars was an hour and 30 minutes long, so it wasn't that long. And there was action and stuff. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, even though it was 3 hours long, there was never really a slow part. But For a Few Dollars More, I felt that there were a couple slow parts in it. So for that, I'm only going to give it a 9 out of 10. The pacing could have been a bit better, but the acting's good. Clint Eastwood is very cool. So yeah, what would you give it out of 10, Benji?
A 9 out of 10.
Yes, and the third movie we watched this week, was another Sergio Leone Western, Once Upon a Time in the West. But this time, instead of there being Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef and all those people, it was instead had Henry Fonda and Jason Roberts and Charles Bronson, I think was his name. Those are the three sort of main people in that movie. But once again, a very good Western film by Sergio Leone. People love this film, and for good reason. It's a very good movie. I really enjoyed watching it. It was around 3 hours long, and there were a couple slow parts, but other than that, it was pretty good. Definitely would recommend it. The acting was great. Harmonica is who Charles Bronson, I'm pretty sure, plays, and he's cool like Clint Eastwood. He's not as cool as Clint Eastwood, but the opening scene where he just shoots all the people were really great. There's some, it's very intense and nice, and yes, I love this film. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because, once again, it was a bit long and the pacing was a bit slow in some parts. But it had great acting. Henry Fonda does a very good job as being a sort of a very evil dude as Frank. And Jason Roberts, I think's his name, as Cheyenne was also really good. I really enjoy him. He was great in All the President's Men. And so, yes, great film, 9.5 out of 10. What would you give it out of 10, Benji?
A 10 out of 10.
You'd give it a 10 out of 10? Why would you... So, do you not have, like... So, you gave it a higher rating than me, like... So, do you think that my thing... Did you not find the pacing a bit slow at sometimes?
I mean, I don't feel like there were that many slow parts, and so I didn't really find it that slow. Even the parts that were what you thought were slow, I didn't find them too slow.
Yeah, I guess. I found them slow, but I can see why you might find them interesting, but I was just sort of wanting to get to the scene where the people shot each other, while you tend to sometimes... Which is weird, because sometimes it really does depend on the movie we're watching. Sometimes you want to get to the scene where people shoot each other, and I don't, and sometimes it's the opposite. So yes, but Once Upon a Time in the West, it could have used a bit more action scenes from, like, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But overall, it's a great film. I really enjoyed it. I like it. 9.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Getting pretty good reviews all around. So yeah, a great film. Definitely recommend you watch it. You have anything more to say on this film, Benji? Because I really didn't ask for your opinion too much on this. Sorry.
No, nothing else to say.
I summed it up pretty good.
Yes.
Okay, well, the next film was Maverick. And what do you have to say about Maverick, Benji?
What?
What do you have to say about Maverick? Like, what is your opinion on Maverick? That was the fourth film we watched, and I've never actually given you the chance to talk about a film first without me blurting in. So I want you to talk about this one first.
Okay, well, it was funny. It also, there was the twist that Cooper, whatever his name,
the sheriff dude.
The sheriff dude was Maverick's dad.
Yeah.
But this wasn't the first time that we watched it, so we knew.
Yeah, we already knew that, and it's not really that big of a twist. It doesn't.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
You can kind of tell, and also it doesn't really impact the story that much. And Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster and who can you remember the other guy's name, Benji? I'm sorry, I can't. Dang it! Who plays the sheriff?
I don't know.
His name's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. So. But yes, they all do pretty good jobs in this. Richard Donner is great. He's a great director. So Maverick's fun. It's a nice film. It's not the best film. Unlike some of these other films that were that were really good. Maverick is not really, really good. But it was a very fun and enjoyable film to watch. Funny. Not as serious as some of these other films. But I enjoyed it. And I'd give it a 8.5 out of 10. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Ocean's 11. In a way, is because I really liked it, but it wasn't very Oscar worthy. So yes, but it's great. I like cowboy movies. Has some funny parts. Has some nice parts. Has some shooting parts. Has some fighting parts. Really good. Really enjoyed Maverick. Pretty good. 8.5 out of 10. What would you give it out of 10, Benji?
A 9 out of 10 because I really like funny movies.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And the last movie we watched this week was Tombstone, starring Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, and Bill Paxton as well. I love Bill Paxton. He's great. He's in all sorts of movies. I'm pretty sure he's the only guy to have been killed by a Terminator, an Alien, and a Predator, which is a pretty nice feat. to say the least. And so, yes, Tombstone is great. It has some very, very nice scenes, and Kurt Russell is really cool once again. And the scene where the train is taken off, and he just comes up from behind and shoots the one guy with the shotgun, and then holds the shotgun in the other guy's face. That scene is great, fantastic. I love it. So yeah, Tombstone is great. Kurt Russell does a great job. Val Kilmer also does a really good job. Yeah, another great cowboy movie. All these movies, great cowboy movies. But yeah, I'm getting a bit tired of cowboys, so next week we're not gonna we're gonna try to not have as many cowboy movies. But yeah, great. I like cowboy movies. What would you give Tombstone out of 10, Benji?
10 out of 10. It's really good.
I give it a 9 out of 10. I don't really feel it's Oscar worthy, but it definitely had some good scenes. Definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, this has been the 6th week of CCCLXVI, and this was a bit of a Western week. Hopefully next week, we're going to not have any more Western movies. Well, we're going to have some more Western movies, but we're going to try to not have as many Western movies anymore. But I guess we got to the point where we were watching Once Upon a Time in the West, and we figured, hey, we've already done 3 Western movies, why not just make it a Western week? So yes, but I'm getting a bit tired of cowboy movies. So, this has been CCCLXVI. I've been Ethan.
I've been Benji.
And goodbye.